We're so excited about our next guest, screenwriter Cord Jefferson, who's making his directorial debut with the film American Fiction. It's getting Oscar buzz, folks, and it's nominated for 2 Golden Globes, including Best Musical or Comedy. Vanity Fair says Jefferson, quote, announces himself as a director to watch.
Yes.
In the movie, the great actor Jeffrey Wright plays a frustrated novelist named Monk who can't get his latest work published because it's not, quote, black enough. Take a look at this clip where Monk is upset with a bookstore's African-American studies section. Check it out.
Here you go.
Right. Yeah. Wait a minute. Why are these books here?
I'm not sure. I would imagine that this author, Ellison, is black.
That's me. Ellison.
Yeah.
He is me, and he and I are black.
Oh, bingo.
No bingo, Ned. These books have nothing to do with African-American studies. They're just literature. The blackest thing about this one is the ink.
I don't decide what sections the books go in, and no one here does. That's how chain stores work.
Right. Ned, you don't make the rules.
I'm just gonna put them back after you leave.
Don't you dare, Ned. Do not you dare.
Is Ned.
Oh, boy. Cord Jefferson is here. Welcome, welcome. It's
Thank
so
you
great
so
to have
much.
you.
Thank you for having me.
I wish we could just run the whole movie.
I know, because
I
we're
know.
so
Understand.
excited.
I was laughing at the funeral. Like,
Oh, my gosh.
throughout the funeral, just in
You can't say who the funeral is.
Yeah,
Can't say
we're
the
not
funeral
going
before,
to
but
give it
yes.
away. But look, let me just first set this up, because you
Yes.
say that the movie came out, you wanted to write this movie, you wanted to direct this movie because there's a real poverty. This is you talking. There's a real poverty of imagination when it comes to people's perception of what black life looks like. And there's a scene in the movie. Do you guys remember when Monk is sitting there and that fictional cable channel is showing black movies
Yes.
or Black Story Month?
Yes.
And it's Antebellum, and it's Precious, and it's New Jack City. So we're talking, gunfire, drugs, unwanted pregnancies. That's what people think when they think of black stories. And that's why you wanted to tell this one.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when I was working in journalism, I worked in journalism for about 8 years before I started working in film and television. And toward the end of my journalism career, I published this article called The Racism Beat that was about how my job on a weekly basis had become somebody coming to me and saying, do you want to write about Trayvon Martin getting killed? Do you want to write about Mike Brown getting killed? Do you want to write about X black person getting killed? And it just felt like there was this revolving door of misery that my job had become. And then it felt like, on top of that, what can I write about this that I didn't write about it the last week that this happened, or the week before, or that Frederick Douglass wasn't writing about hundreds of years ago, right? Like, what can I contribute to this conversation? So when I started working in film and television, I was excited because it felt like, finally, I'm working in the world of fiction. We can write any story we want to write about black people. We can write about black people on the moon. We can write about black people riding dragons in the underworld, whatever. And lo and behold, it wasn't long before people were coming to me and saying, do you want to write this movie about a black teenager getting killed by the police? Do you want to write this movie about slavery? Do you want to write this movie about a crack dealer? And it just felt like, oh, even here, even in a world of fiction and fantasy, there's still such a rigid limitation as to what people think black life looks like. And that, to me, just was, was something that I wanted to try to speak about.
You call this a little movie that could, and I think that's because I hadn't even heard of it until about a month ago. I'm curious about your strategy and when it was finally greenlit, what that meant to you.
When they greenlit it I started crying in the meeting. That's
Tears?
I started crying in the meeting.
Why?
Because I had been rejected so frequently in TV. I tried to get a TV show made for about 6 years. I had sold multiple shows and developed them to different stages. And they've always pulled the plug at the last minute. Right before I found the book, 2 months before I found the book that I adapted, Percival Everett's Erasure, I'd come very, very close to getting a show on the air, and at the last minute, they'd said no. And so I was feeling pretty creatively adrift, and then I found this book, and it changed my life.
Yeah, but you said, but the little movie that could, because what is your strategy here? I mean, it's a type of thing that I hadn't even heard of it until.
Yeah, I think that we just really wanted to focus on word of mouth. I think that we really wanted to.
And that's what's going to sell this.
We came into Toronto, the Toronto Film Festival, very quietly. There was a lot of people who had never heard of the film. We didn't put out a trailer or anything beforehand. And we just started to build momentum after that first screening, and we ended up winning the audience award at the Toronto Film Festival.
No, and your cast. Can I just say about your cast? Tracy Ellis Ross, Sterling Kane Brown, Issa Rae, Leslie Uggams. You said you sent them the script expecting them to say no. That doesn't sound like you're confident in the thing. I'm going to send this to you, but you're probably not going to do it.
Look, one of the reasons I'm a writer is because I'm deeply insecure. and so I think that just comes with the territory of being an artist sometimes. But yeah, Jeffrey Wright was my first choice for the film, and when we got him, I was confident we weren't going to get anybody else that I wanted. And lo and behold, it was like Sterling, Leslie, Eric Alexander, Issa, Tracy, and it just started. The dominoes started piling up. And I think that's people keep asking me, how do you get this tremendous ensemble for your first movie? And I say, look at what happens when you write real roles for black characters.
Yes.
Look what happens when the black characters aren't just there to come out and give like some expository dialogue, and then they fade into the background while the white lead saves the day. Like, look what we can accomplish.
The writing is so clever.
Exactly.
I mean, just so spot on. Every scene was like a moment in my life or a moment of someone I knew. And when you think about how you bring comedy into this, I mean, as I said, I was laughing like full heart. My makeup and hair people were cracking up as I was cracking up. But you think about that, and how are you able to dispel that? How are you able to tell it so crisply?
To me, it's very important to invite people to laugh sometimes. I think that we have become a deeply polarized world, and I think that one of the reasons is we're so polarized is because we've lost the ability to talk to each other. I think that everybody kind of exists in their own bubbles and their own fiefdoms and listens to their own news and watches their own movies. And I just think that one of the greatest things about movie theaters is that they're this cultural shared space. It's this place that you can come with people who are different from you and enjoy something and go on a ride together. And so I wanted to make a movie that was about these kinds of serious third-rail issues, about race, about identity, about sexuality, but that felt really inviting to a lot of different kinds of people.
And Cord, you did that.
You did that. What a great.
You did
they
that.
don't make movies like this anymore. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And he's a good director, too.
He's an incredible director. We'll be watching you. Cord Jefferson, American Fiction, is now playing in select theaters and will expand nationwide in early January.